Nice how they reminiscent the scandal around Tyler's murder in season 1. Until now it could have been a similar outcome, since we have not seen if Emily is still alive yet. Not only the wounds could kill her, she could also drown. I like how they play around with this meta level that we are watching a TV show in which we see news coverage. That was something I enjoyed very much in the finale and in the last season. They were always good by playing around with this, especially with the big interview scenes in season 1 and 2. I love Nolan's reaction, cause at this point he must think everything went after plan. At least the part with Victoria went well, so Emily could have gone through with it if she had not been that seriously wounded. Kudos to Emily's determination that she still is trying to make everything as it was planned. Good for her that Nolan had the idea with the panic button. That certainly saved her life, cause otherwise Aiden would never have found her. Contrary to the tension between Aiden and Jack, I like the one at Grayson Manor. Since no one seems to suspect Daniel could have shot his wife on their wedding day, Victoria is suspect number 1 for everyone. You must admit Emily did a great job in pointing all signs at her. It was not perfect since she threw the bracelet Emily prepared for this into the water. But Lydia's statement and showing Victoria that photo delivered the perfect surroundings to frame her. And Daniel only seems to anticipate getting to know he killed Emily. Surely that would have been the perfect outcome for him, since he cannot know if Emily would tell the truth and bring him down with it. After knowing what she is really capable of, he must have been afraid that she would try to take revenge. About Nolan trying to get to Emily. Like in any kind of emergency situation, they show us here how bad it is when friends and boyfriends do not officially belong to family. They like to show us this dilemma because it is so true. Mostly when someone lies unable to speak up for himself, other people try to use their power over them. So here, when Nolan is not allowed to see Emily by Victoria. She knows all too well how much Emily means to Nolan, but still does not want to let him see her. What reason can she have? Just spite because she is not allowed to be around her daughter-in-law due to the police and being suspect number 1? Or does she fear Emily and Nolan could secretly plan something? Anyway, I never understood why Patrick did not help him with this. Does he not see it would have been the right decision to let him see Emily just for a minute? Anyway, it gives Nolan the opportunity to drop one of my favorite quotes.
I will let you know if I meet anyone innocent.
Smart of him to drop the phone so they could hack into Emily's hospital files. And even more smart how he later disguises himself to see Emily in spite of the strict rules the Graysons were pulling of. They surely want to control the narrative and are all afraid what Emily would have to say when she wakes up. I like this scene with Daniel cause it gives us not only the opportunity to see in what bad condition Emily's is, but also how guilty Daniel must feel right now for putting her into this condition. Like every alcoholic, he seems to have no impulse control when he is drinking too much, and regrets later what he has done in this state. So I guess what he said to Victoria is right, he did not want to hurt her until he shot her. I know many do not like this amnesia plot, but it could have been interesting if they had pulled it off for longer. Sure, it was completely soap opera trope and had definitely no medical background. But an intriguing thought how her life would have been if she had just forget about her past, and never regained it. All the anger and the childhood trauma would just disappear. At first I must admit I thought she was faking it. Especially because Daniel had this suspicious look and Aiden talked about it as a genius tactic to stall time until they could save her. But when she did not recognize Aiden, it was painfully clear that she was not faking anything. About Margaux investigation on her own. I like how they get everyone involved with this. Nolan, Jack and Aiden on Emily's behalf. Patrick, Lydia and the Graysons on the other side to help cover everything up and turn the blame around. Like always. And Margaux on the other hand trying to find out what really happened. I must give Christine Venice credit. She did the best with her part. In this season she is merely a functional character standing between Jack and Emily, Emily and the Graysons and later Emily and Daniel. Pointing to Conrad in this scene made absolutely no sense to me. If anyone really fell in love with Emily and admired her till the end it was Conrad. Spoiler alert, he even wished her good luck by pursuing Victoria when she visited him in jail. Mysteriously he was not mad at her for bringing him behind bars. I think he admired her elaborate plan to frame him and was happy that he was not going down alone. 'Cause he always wanted to drag Victoria down with him if the time had come to face their sins. But I went to fast forward, that is something for the season 3 finale. Back to Jack, I like that he is the first one who assumes Daniel was the one who shot her. But it was fitting Emily was the one who revealed it in the end. Too bad she did not tell it in front of the cameras. I would have granted it to Daniel being exposed like that. Especially if you think of his behavior in the next episodes. About the fight between Lydia and Victoria. I never liked this little scene because it is so under the noise. But I admire Lydia's fashion sense. The dress looks like a statement towards the shooting. Wearing a blood-red dress with a pattern that looks like she had been bathing in bloodstains was a bold move. Especially for someone who could be a suspect, too. She is really rude in this scene, so I can understand why Victoria wants to hit her. It seems as if Lydia just wants Victoria to lose her temper. Why else would she first sit on her throne and then spill that glass of wine all over it? Maybe she and Conrad secretly made a plan to make her look even more guilty, since this would have been the easiest way to get rid of her. About Aiden and Nolan trying to get Emily secured. Since they showed us every detail again and made such a fuss about it, I knew this would not go smoothly. But they did surprise me with the fact that Emily did not fake her amnesia and that she was really afraid of Aiden. Not knowing her past makes a whole different person out of her. Makes you wonder how Emily would have been if she had never been to prison or never had started her agenda. Maybe she would have accepted her father's guilt and tried to become a better person instead of holding on to all that anger. Maybe she would even reunited with Daniel if he had wanted to. 'Cause now she really could have been the version she played in season 1 and Daniel felt in love with. If you think about it, this could have also been a possible outcome. Emily and Daniel framing Aiden for the shooting cause he was obsessed with Emily. Like Emily made Daniel believe at the beginning of this season. Aiden would be the perfect candidate. Even more as Emily cannot remember anything and could have been tricked by Daniel to frame Aiden. But maybe it was best the way they shot it, that she regained her memory but still did not fully recover. Her spiraling out of control was something I very much enjoyed in the next couple of episodes. And after all she has been through since that day they took her father away, it is not unlikely that she would develop some more mental issues. I mean, sometimes in season 1 and even more here you think she has an acute psychosis, like she is stalking the Graysons and cannot let go of her agenda. But more than season 2 they went back to basics with that war of roses between Daniel and Emily. They dived full in this soap opera cliché about a married couple fighting hard till divorce. Just pure fun to watch and a perfect guilty pleasure plot. It was refreshing to see another couple fight that hard, since it seemed as if we had seen all possible fights through every angle between Victoria and Conrad since the first season. About Jack being the only hope to get Emily back. As I said, I hate that they desperately try to keep this love triangle on. Aiden's jealousy on Daniel in season 2 was totally understandable. since he knew that Emily's feelings for him had been real on some level. So he was constantly afraid those feelings could come back when she is together with him. And that she still was sleeping with both men was no help either. Compared to this, his jealousy regarding Jack seems very much misguided and out of place. Sure, Jack is now in the inner circle and knows more of Emily's secret than Daniel ever will. But there is zero romantic relationship between the two, since Jack is mostly angry with Emily in this season. And Emily herself has been so focused on her mission and her future with Aiden that she probably did not give a thought on that possibility. So I was never buying Nolan's assumption Jack could bring her back. And in fact it was not the happy childhood memory Nolan thought of. Actually it was for Amanda and the memory of her death that brought Emily back. Fitting, since she is the real Emily Thorne and in some way was more important to Amanda than anyone else, except her father of course. One thing, though I hated him refusing to try I am with Jack, that it was a possibility that his appearance could have made the trauma worse, since he represents all Amanda lost, her happy childhood, Sammy and Formanda. About Daniel admitting he shot Emily. From this conversation on I knew that the two would plot against Emily. If you think about it, after both knowing some kind of the truth about Emily, Daniel and his mother are working on it to get rid of Emily. They even wanna destroy her. And not only to protect each other. They want to hurt her. I think now was the time where Victoria's hate for Emily was spiraling out of control. She got in full defense mode now, knowing that Emily was after Graysons to destroy them. When she finally found out that Emily's goal was not only to marry Daniel and get the Grayson name and status, like she always assumed since season 1. Victoria knows that she has to take Emily out no matter what to save her family and all she cares about. About Emily telling Charlotte David Clarke is her father. I think again they were too anxious and tame here. This is a major exposure, and letting it fall that easily has disappointed me. Why is Charlotte so easily convinced by Jack? And why is she not digging deeper? Does she not want to know? I mean, they all must be suspicious right now, since they do know not that much about Emily's past since she came to the Hamptons. Only Victoria seems to be interested in Emily's past. Daniel was satisfied too with her showing him the false family picture. I really thought they brought this up to give Charlotte the chance to find out the truth. She deserved it more than anybody else. While Jack and Nolan are something like family for Emily, Charlotte is her real family, and at the time the only one she has left, since her mother disappeared and is gone for good. I know it would have been risky, cause Charlotte is not good with secrets. Even if she not want to tell anyone on purpose, it could have slipped through her mouth like in this scene with Jack. But knowing her sister is not dead could have led to a totally different season for Charlotte. And a different outcome and prospects for season 4, too. Major spoiler alert. Instead of being kidnapped by Emily and accidentally making Conrad confess, she could have willingly and actively participated in the plot to get their father exonerated and Conrad punished. After knowing what he did in season 2, it would have been not that big step to let her know all of Conrad's crimes. That would have surely fueled her anger again, and she would have gone after him again. Maybe even with Emily's help. So again they wasted a chance to make Emily bond with her sister. About Conrad sacrificing Lydia. Finally seeing this again, I can understand why they made Conrad and Lydia end up together again. Just to separate them in this scene. The writers are sometimes really cruel with their characters. Just when she and Conrad thought they could be happy for a while, destiny comes in and ruins all their future plans. But like with Daniel and Sarah, I do not really buy this deep emotional connection between Conrad and Lydia. He and Conrad have a penchant for dwelling in self-pity. so this scene was in the same way uncomfortable and satisfying to watch. I like how they turn the Grayson family upside down this season. Again, you can never know who will be an ally in the next episode and who will be your greatest enemy. Now it seems Daniel and Victoria are drawn closer together now they have a common enemy with Emily. And Conrad is backed into the corner because he made himself an enemy with both of his children and his ex-wife. So it was natural that he was teaming up with Emily. He was the only ally left who hated Victoria and Daniel in the same way and wanted them to pay as himself. About Emily's new tattoo. Good that they made this one look better this season. In the pilot it was really ridiculous. Like they draw it with an edding. In season 2 it looked a little bit better, but this one looks really detailed. About the new addition Niko. Again, a character I was intrigued by at first and then very much disliked her. If they intend it to be so, they make a great job by giving us new characters to hate and be thankful when they finally disappear. I think it was smart giving Takeda a daughter and broaden the backstory around him a little bit. What I really disliked is Aiden's affair with her. Could she not just help him because he was Takeda's students and they know each other well? Maybe she could have been friends with Emily as well, since she was the one who trained longer with Takeda than Aiden, who joined later on her behalf. Does Emily even know he betrayed her when he was gone? Anyway, at first glance her helping Emily and being some kind of backup was nice to watch. She could really have been an asset if they had decided to make her stick around. I know they probably only brought her in here to use the unsolved murder of Takeda as a new threat for Aiden, since he got out of focus by the Graysons. But her affair with Aiden was really unnecessary in my opinion. Okay, it made his betrayal even worse for Niko and Emily. And showed again Aiden's biggest flaw, his hot temper. But where was the point here? They already broke up and he had not that much reason to stay around. So he could have left with Niko and forget about Emily. Or they could have found a way to reunite him and Emily sooner. Anyway, the plot with Niko taking revenge was not crucial to the plot, even the one with Emily's blackouts. About Victoria getting a hold on Emily's infinity box. This cliffhanger was really clever. 'Cause they made it appear as if she got the real one. And that would have been more than dangerous for Emily. The only thing that was nerving that it took so long for Victoria to recognize the infinity symbol. I still wonder how she could not notice the little girl painting this symbol. Did little Amanda only do it when no one else but her father was around? Or did Victoria just give no thought about it? Since it has been over a decade, if she even saw it at all in that time with David. Maybe she thought of the tattoo as some kind of a new age symbol. Nothing that personal to Emily. But the next episode is gotta be interesting in many ways.